I walked into a storage room at my office on a Tuesday afternoon. I wasn't looking for trouble, I was looking for supplies. What I found instead was my husband, Derek, with my sister, Jasmine. Not a moment before, not a moment after. That moment. Everything I believed about trust shattered in the time it took me to open a door. My sister, the one person who was supposed to have my back, the one person I shared everything with, and my husband, the man I promised forever to. I could have screamed, I could have fought, I could have fallen apart, but I did something different. I got quiet, I got smart, and I made sure they both understood exactly what they lost. This is my story. My name is Elysia. I met Derek 7 years ago at a work conference. He was charming, intelligent, he made me laugh. We dated for 2 years before he proposed, and I said yes without hesitation. For 3 years, being married to Derek felt right. We had a rhythm, we had trust, we had plans for the future. Derek was my partner in every sense of the word. When Derek came home from work, I was happy to see him. When Derek held me at night, I felt safe. When Derek told me he loved me, I believed him completely. I didn't know Derek was lying. I didn't know Derek was already building a secret life with someone else. Jasmine is 2 years younger than me. Growing up, Jasmine was my shadow. Where I went, Jasmine followed. As we got older, that changed. Jasmine became my confidant, my best friend, the person I told everything to. I told Jasmine about Derek's proposal. I told Jasmine about my wedding doubts. I told Jasmine about my marriage. I told Jasmine things I didn't tell anyone else. When Derek came into my life, Jasmine seemed happy for me. Jasmine would ask about Derek. Jasmine would comment on how good Derek was for me. I thought Jasmine was being supportive. I thought Jasmine had my back. I didn't know that Jasmine was watching Derek. I didn't know that Jasmine was noticing Derek the way a woman notices a man she wants. I didn't know that while I was confiding in Jasmine about my marriage, Jasmine was planning to destroy it. Now, looking back, the signs were everywhere. Derek started working late. Not dramatically, just a little later each week. Derek said the office was busy. Derek said there was a big project. Derek said it was temporary. I believed Derek because I had no reason not to. Jasmine started showing up at my office for lunch. She said she missed me. She said Jasmine wanted to spend more time with her sister. But Jasmine would always ask when Derek was coming by. Jasmine would always position herself near Derek when he was around. My mother noticed. My mother called me one evening and said, "Sweetheart, I don't think Jasmine is as happy about your marriage as she pretends to be." I defended Jasmine. I told my mother she was being paranoid. But that night, I asked Derek if something was wrong. Derek said no. Derek said everything was fine. Derek said I was being paranoid. I believed Derek. I wanted to believe Derek. That was my mistake. My company hosted an event on a Thursday evening, a networking thing. Everyone brought their plus ones. Derek came as my date. Jasmine came because she worked in the building. That night, I was happy. I remember being genuinely happy. I was talking to colleagues, laughing, feeling proud of my marriage and my career. But at some point during the evening, I noticed Derek wasn't beside me anymore. I looked for Derek. I couldn't find him immediately. I didn't panic. Derek probably went to the bathroom. Derek probably stepped outside. I didn't think about it. I should have paid attention. That night, after the event, Derek seemed quieter than usual. Jasmine texted me saying she'd left early with a headache. At the time, it meant nothing. I was so stupid. I didn't know that Derek and Jasmine had left the event together. I didn't know they'd gone somewhere private. I didn't know that the man I married and the sister I trusted were already deep into a betrayal that had probably been happening for weeks. The Tuesday after the event, Derek said he was working late. Jasmine texted me saying she was staying late at the office too, working on a project. I'd left my phone at my desk. I went back to the office to get it around 9 p.m. The office was mostly empty. I walked through the halls toward my desk, and I noticed Derek's light was on. I went to check on him, but Derek wasn't at his desk. I asked myself where Derek was. The supply room was near Derek's office. I saw the light on under the door. I remember thinking Derek might be grabbing something. I opened the door, and there it was, the image I'll never unsee. Derek, Jasmine, together, touching, kissing, completely wrapped up in each other, completely oblivious to me standing there watching. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, and I watched them scramble when they realized I was there. I watched Derek's face turn white. I watched Jasmine pull away. I watched them panic. "Get out," I said. My voice was so quiet they could barely hear me. "Both of you, get out of my sight right now." I left the building, I drove home in silence, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to get even, not through rage, through strategy. I didn't go home that night. I went directly to a lawyer's office. Yes, it was late. Yes, the lawyer took pity on me and met with me anyway. I filed for divorce the next morning. I didn't tell Derek. I didn't call Jasmine. I didn't call my mother. I just made moves. I changed the locks on the house. The house was in my name. Derek had never contributed enough to the down payment to be on the deed. Derek had always depended on me financially. That detail became very important. I contacted HR at my company and reported Derek and Jasmine from violating company fraternization policies. I didn't make it dramatic. I simply reported the facts. When Derek came home that evening, he couldn't get in. Derek rang the bell repeatedly. Derek called my phone over and over. I watched from an upstairs window. Derek looked desperate. Derek looked scared. I didn't answer a single call. That night, Derek received the divorce papers. Derek finally understood that I wasn't going to break. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to give Derek another chance. I was done. I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't go to Derek's office and make a scene. I didn't confront Jasmine publicly. I just told the truth to the people who needed to know. I called Derek's mother. I told her calmly and clearly what Derek had done. I told her about the affair with my sister. I told her about the workplace violations. I didn't yell. I was respectful, and that hurt Derek more than anger ever could have. I sent a detailed email to my company's HR department documenting everything: the location, the date, the violation of company policy. I included details that made it impossible for the company to ignore. Both Derek and Jasmine were terminated within 5 business days. I reached out to Jasmine's friends, people we both knew, and I told them the truth, not to be cruel, not for revenge, because silence protects predators, and I wasn't going to be silent. I had my lawyer send Jasmine a cease and desist letter regarding any contact with me or my family. As Derek and Jasmine spiraled, watching their careers fall apart and their reputations crumble, I stayed calm. I stayed focused. I stayed in complete control. Derek asked to meet with me once. I agreed, but only with my lawyer present. We sat across from each other in a mediation room, and I looked Derek directly in the eye. "Do you understand what you took from me?" I asked. Derek tried to apologize. Derek tried to cry. Derek tried to explain himself. I didn't care about Derek's words. "You took my trust. You took 3 years of my life. You took my sister. You made me question whether I ever really knew you at all. And the worst part, I was so good to you, Derek. I believed in you. I supported you. I loved you." And Derek threw that away for a moment in a storage room. Derek had nothing to say. There was nothing Derek could say that mattered. "I hope it was worth it," I said quietly, because Derek is going to spend the rest of his life knowing what Derek destroyed. Not because I'm telling him, because Derek is going to feel it every single day. When Derek can't get another job, when Derek can explain the gap in his employment, When Derek realizes that Derek lost a good woman because Derek couldn't keep his hands to himself. I stood up and closed my notebook. I don't hate you anymore, Derek. I just don't think about you. And I meant every single word. Healing wasn't easy. There were nights I cried. There were moments I questioned whether I'd handled everything right. There were moments I missed who I thought Derek was, even though Derek never actually existed. But mostly, I moved forward. I went to therapy. A lot of therapy. I learned that I'd ignored red flags because I was in love with the idea of being married, not necessarily with Derek. I learned that I'd made my self-worth dependent on Derek's devotion. I cut off Jasmine completely. Not dramatically, just silence. I didn't respond to messages. I didn't go to family gatherings where Jasmine was present. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply to disappear from someone's life entirely. My real friends, the ones who saw the signs and tried to warn me, they became my support system. I leaned on them. I let them love me through the hurt. And slowly, I started to rebuild. Not the version of myself that needed a man to feel complete, not the version that trusted blindly, but a version of myself that was whole, aware, and strong on her own. I started to smile again, but this time the smile was real. This time the smile was just for me. 8 months later, I saw Derek at a grocery store. Derek looked different. Derek looked older. Derek looked broken. Derek tried to say hello. I nodded politely. That's all Derek deserved. Acknowledgement, nothing more. Walking out of that store, I realized something profound. I didn't regret a single decision I made. Not the quiet strength, not the consequences, not the exposure. Not a single choice. Because I'd shown myself what I was capable of. I'd shown myself that I could be betrayed by the two people closest to me and still stand. I could be hurt deeply and still move forward. I could be angry and still be dignified. I didn't make Derek regret everything through revenge or rage. I made Derek regret everything through the simple, powerful act of walking away and never looking back. That's more powerful than any anger could ever be. And me? I'm still here, still standing, still building the life I deserve. I'm learning that my worth isn't determined by someone else's loyalty. I'm learning that quiet strength is the most powerful force in the world. I'm learning that sometimes the best response to betrayal is simply to move on and thrive. That's the real victory. My story isn't about what Derek and Jasmine did to me. It's about what I did for myself. And that's a story worth telling.